How's it going, campers? Welcome to Campfire Stories. This is the official LNS Ad Camp podcast. I'm your host, Rose, and today we're going to be talking about copywriting. But before we get into that, I want to explain the purpose of this podcast. You, the listener, are probably a student and you're looking for an internship and you've got a head full of questions. Well, that is what we are here to do today. We're hopefully going to answer some of those questions by bringing on an expert from each discipline and who was once an ad camper and is now a full-time LNSer. So joining us to talk about the discipline of copywriting is Matt. Welcome aboard, Matt.
Yeah, it's good to be on.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to be on the boat today.
I was going to say, how does it feel to be back here on the Campfire Stories podcast?
It's kind of full circle in a lot of ways because I did this a while ago and now my show is getting canceled for this show, so no pressure. I hope it does well. And also full circle because we interviewed you to be an intern, and now as an intern, you're interviewing me.
That is wild.
It really just kind of came all the way around.
I do remember that.
About do it 360.
Yeah, how many years ago was that you were the host? You were the one asking the questions.
I think we did that three-ish years ago. I don't know. Time just kind of all melds together in this business. I think it was like 3 years ago, probably. 6 years ago since I was an intern.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit.
Been a bit.
So, initial question, I just like naming things. Do you know if canoes get names like bigger boats? Do they get that honor?
I'm not sure. They definitely get female names. What would you name it, you think?
Well, I don't know. Like, there's always like the SS in front of stuff, so.
The SS Scotty?
The SS.
Or, I guess Laura gave us the canoe, right? The SS Laura?
SS Laura. I feel like that's a good tribute.
Yeah, the Laura.
All right.
Smash a bottle over it. You have a couple of bottles over there, don't you?
There we go.
Yeah.
So
I think that's how you christen a boat.
I'm pretty sure. I think I saw that in Shrek the Third. So, seems accurate to
That's a
me.
documentary, I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah. Well, today, okay. Well, I know you have your dog, Jet, AKA, can I say Poop Fart on the podcast?
Mr. Poop Fart.
Mr.
His
Poop Fart.
technical name.
But he's a dog, right? Do you have experience with fish?
Limited. Like to eat them sometimes. I like a good lobster roll, more of a shellfish. I owned a fish for a while here at the agency. His name was Steven. He died 4th of Julys ago.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's my experience of fish, I guess. Limited.
Well,
Experience.
would you like a little bit more experience with fish?
Yeah, let's do some fishing.
All right. Well, today we're going to do some fishing, as we just alluded to. So I have here for us a rod for you and for me.
Touch tips?
Of course. And then, oh dear, now this is not what you want. This is not a good way to start. Thank you. Crisis averted. In the water here, ooh, that's real water. There's some fish for us to catch.
Cool.
So, yeah, do you want to do the honors, catching the first fish?
Yeah, they're biting on magnets today.
Yeah, they've evolved.
Clownfish here.
All right.
It's kind of tucked under the water.
Yeah, no, they're getting smarter. I think it's the magnets.
Fishing the fish. There we go.
Oh, first
Keeper. And there's questions on that.
These fish are so evolved, they have learned how to communicate with us, and that is by not having scales, but printed paper on their backs.
Should I read the questions?
Well, they can't talk themselves, so.
The group? Okay.
Yeah.
The clownfish, voiced by Albert Brooks, he wants to know where do you get your writing inspiration from?
Yeah, as a writer, where are you just waiting for like inspiration to strike, or is it stored up, or is it like divine inspiration, like a little like lightning bolt to your brain?
Good question. I think when I was an intern, I either read it or somebody told it to me. When you get paid to write, you can't afford yourself a luxury like waiting for inspiration to strike. Inspiration needs to happen on demand when you sit down at a keyboard. Where do you get your writing inspiration from? I'm a big believer in that, like your writing comes from just everything you do. And it's like, you're a smoothie, and it's like all the movies you watch and everything you read and everything you do in your life experience, what you listen to. and like inside jokes with your friends and like conversations in the office, like that all turns into what you write. So I think it really comes from everywhere. I think there's definitely authors and sources that you can be like inspired by for the form of your writing, but I think like where it comes from is like everywhere. Now, as far as like when inspiration strikes, I do think that can happen at different times. Like, I'm a big believer in like walking away from something and coming back to it. You know, if you go on like a walk, or maybe you're working out, or maybe you're making a smoothie, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that would be a good idea for that. You just write it down, and all of a sudden it just happens. Creation is the cessation of stupidity is something I've heard a lot too. So sometimes you just realize, oh, all that was dumb. This is good. And it's just like, that's inspiration, I guess. But that's what I would say to the clownfish.
That's good. He thought that was very insightful.
Where does your inspiration come? Or do I get to ask questions too?
I mean, I guess if you want
Are
to.
you just the question master? Where does your inspiration come from?
My inspiration, I would say the same. I'd say, yeah, my friends are a big inspiration. I'd say like videos I watch online or just whatever I've been mulling over at the moment, but a lot of it lately, especially when I'm writing things about like fishing or hiking, it literally is just like looking at the websites and learning about it and then just like coming up with silly little things to say. I don't know.
I think like Kurt Vonnegut, Outside Magazine, The Ringer, The Athletic. I think those are all things that I read and I try to like absorb their style or just straight up rip it off, and you just kind of make their own style. That's my answer for Mr. Clownfish.
He thanks you.
Should we keep him in the boat or catch and release?
He could stay in the boat. He could go over there so we don't confuse him with any other magnetic fish.
Put him back. We'll even hose him off a little bit.
Wow.
Shit.
I suppose I should have started with this. Can you introduce yourself with your title and how long you've been at LNS?
Oh, yeah, I can. My name's Matt. I'm a creative director here at Lawrence A. Schiller. I've been with the agency for 6 years. Fresh out of college, I was a young pup when I started. And I was started as a copywriting intern, and I've always kind of worked on like the copy end of things. I've just kind of written my way into a job around here, and they haven't turned my key card off yet. So that's my background, Lawrence and Schiller.
Sick. Now, if I just close your eyes and imagine, I am George of the jungle, and I say, I want to give up my career of swinging on vines and making really loud noise.
I would say that's a good career. Don't do it, but go on.
I want to be in the marketing business, so I suit up and I hit the big town. But I have a problem, and that is I've been living in the jungle. How would you describe copywriting to me? I mean, you can now.
How would I describe copywriting?
Yeah.
I think it's just like all things content. So a copywriter would be in charge of stuff you see or not in charge, but they would write. I mean, we all want to be in charge, right? It's like stuff you see on a billboard, a video script, a radio ad, the content you'd see on a website, the words you would see on like a social post. I think that's all copywriting. So really it is like just like digital content creation or not digital content creation. Copywriting is kind of like, to use a sports analogy, which I really like, I always think they're like kind of like the point guard of the ad agency. They work with everybody a little bit. So like you'll talk to account service and you have to know like the media specs for something. Then you'll work with like your designers who are like your right-hand people in getting all the stuff made. But then you got to talk to the digis on how to post it. And like, it just all comes very full circle. You work with everybody and you do like a little bit of everything. Even the video people, you have to go over and talk to them sometimes, which was kind of scary. Yeah, that's copywriting. It's just words. So if you like to read, if you like to write, it's not easy, I don't think, but I think it's fun and rewarding.
Definitely.
Copywriting.
I'm trying to think of the not theater kid, but kid in theater equivalent of, you said point guard?
Yeah.
Okay, gets to talk to everybody. I'd say stage manager. They kind of have to they have to send whatever messages and coordinate everything. So there we are for our less athletically inclined folks.
Cover all the bases here. The world is a rich tapestry.
Can you share with me a little bit about your background? Like, what did you study? Did you always kind of know that copywriting was going to be your path?
No, well, I went to school to be, I wanted to be a weatherman, and then I found out how much math it takes to be a weatherman. It's like, I think I should be something else. And I just kind of fell into copywriting. I studied marketing, advertising. I never really knew I wanted to do it. I had an internship at Fresh Produce. You guys can censor that out if you want to. Before Lawrence and Schiller, and I found out, like, I got to work with some really awesome people. I found out I really liked this job. And then I got a copywriting internship here, and I just kept doing it, I guess. I've always liked to read and write, though, like I said, and I always wanted just to be paid to write things. I never really thought that felt like a job. So that's kind of my basic background. I was, some copywriters are like English majors, and they come from very intensive writing backgrounds. Mine was maybe a little non-traditional in that aspect, where I'm not like a writer's writer, but I just kind of figured it out a little bit. So all kinds of kinds. The world is a rich tapestry.
Very nice. Well, I'm feeling peckish. I kind of want to fish, so I'm gonna. Oh boy, let's go for this. I believe it's a rainbow trout. You can fact check me on that. I feel like I know so little about fish for a girl who really likes fish.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that one. Do you have a writing process, and how are you able to be creative on command, kind of like what you were referring to earlier?
I guess we kind of touched on process a little bit earlier, but I think like having a process is good. Having a process to revise yourself, I think, is equally as important, because I think anybody can write something. It takes like a disciplined copywriter or a disciplined English major or like newspaper writer to go back and kind of like self-edit their own stuff. How can I make this tighter? How can I make this verb more evocative? How can I make this more interesting? I think like being able to walk away from it and come back and be your own harshest critic, but in a way that's like constructive, and you're not like hammering yourself like this sucks, but it's like, how can I make this better? I think that's really important for writing process. And then like all the account service people hearing that be like, wow, there's a lot of grammatical mistakes in your stuff still for this revising. I'm like, yeah, there is sometimes. But like revising for content, going back and kind of like reshaping it to be better. It just depends how much time you have, I guess. I would say that's my process. I just try to write stuff that's interesting to me. If it's not interesting to you, it's not going to be interesting to anybody else. So that's something I try to keep in mind.
Nice. Rainbow trout, thanks you.
Thank you, Rainbow Trout.
Oh, and he's gonna go this way now.
Should I get one?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, have at it.
We'll go for the tattoo fish.
Oh,
There we go.
got him.
Tattoo fish are biting this time of year.
They are hungry.
What's the coolest thing you get to do in your job? I would say that's two parts, I guess. Like number one is just you work with like cool, interesting people. I think at an advertising agency, it's like a very eclectic group over there, and you truly just get to work with people that are interesting every day, which I think is probably the best part. As copywriter, as like a creative director and stuff, you get to go on shoots sometimes, and those can be like a lot of fun. So I got to go to Greece one time for a video shoot, mad flex. Yeah, I am in a canoe today. I think we could be sailing to Greece. Who knows where we are?
Yeah. Weren't you on a boat just like...
I was on a sailboat just the other day. It was a little bit bigger than this one. So I do think like you just get to do something new and different a lot of days, if not every day, then a lot of days. So I think that's probably my favorite part. And then just the people you work with. Like, there's probably not a boring person that we work with, which is just kind of cool. Not everybody can say that.
I would agree.
Tattoo fish back in the sea.
Away she goes. What makes a good portfolio? This was something I was definitely unsure of when I was applying. do you have like tips or like specific things like you should do, especially if you don't like me, I didn't have anything like copywriting to show. What should I put in there?
Well, yours did a good job on showing your personality. Rose's portfolio, for people who don't know, she made a fake bug wrangling business and wrote ads for bug wranglers with Photoshop bugs, or were those toys?
I have just a very large centipede, like foam bug. His name is Scooter.
Scooter. So that showed your personality, which I think is very important. Any real world work you've done is great, but you don't need it, especially if you are a sophomore going to be a junior applying for internships. It's very probable that you have no real world experience. I didn't. Like, a lot of people probably don't at all. I mean, this is how you're trying to get that, right? So just anything you've done for class, anything that shows like that you care about the industry that you want to work in, advertising or not, or that like you've tried to gain experience in that. So if you want to be a copywriter, make like spec ads. If you want to be a designer, design stuff and include things you've designed. If you want to be an account service, show your best email. I don't really know, but like, I think just show that you're actively engaged with what you're trying to learn, and at least show effort, because I think everyone realizes if you're a sophomore going to be a junior in college, you might not have a campaign that you've written. I didn't. So
Yeah.
just like show your personality, show that you can do work, and it doesn't need to be like super polished, but it shouldn't look like bad. Yours were homemade, but there was a level of like quality there where like, don't make them in crayons. If it's something like that, you know? Like if you have a designer friend buying pizza and have them kind of lay out an ad for you, or do it yourself and say that you did it yourself, but like, I think just kind of like bring a certain level of professionalism, even if you don't feel like a professional. I know we don't a lot of the days still.
What do you think about portfolios that are like a link to a website where it's just kind of like everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Websites are a challenge too, because they're kind of hard to lay out. I know I've redone my own like a lot of times, so yeah, I think those are great.
Do you think it's useful to like have a website just kind of like to showcase everything?
Yeah, and it's a challenge, I think, especially if you're in school, like paying for a website might be a lot. Managing a website and like designing it, if you don't have those skills, can be a super big challenge. So even if it's just a PDF that you attach, like don't feel like that's gonna suck. It's more about what's in it than what the form of it is.
For sure. Cool. I guess we should talk about your internship a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of the reason you're here. It's that you were an ad camper. What was that like? What sort of things did you get to work on?
It was a lot of fun. Mine was a little different. Chrissy Lowry, our boss, who was my boss when I got hired for the internship, had twins the day before I started. So I never really met her for like a long time. Yeah, I'd been here for a long. She was like, "Hey, I'm your boss," and I was like, "Oh, you're my boss." That was the exact conversation. They brought her kids in. I didn't know they would touch them. I was like, "Hey, they're cool. Look who is." I like the twins too. I think my internship, I got to work under Brett Summers, who's a super talented writer here. And I worked on a lot of tourism stuff and South Dakota tourism things. So it was like writing for like 16 different towns that form all the co-ops. So that was a lot of fun. It was a whirlwind. You just like learn a lot. I think the first thing I ever wrote was like a native article for a certain client. And they came back and they said, "I don't think it makes people want to come here." And it was for tourism. So I was like, "Oh,
That's
geez."
like not what you want to
You
hear.
learn how to handle feedback, and it was a lot of fun. It went by super fast, and I enjoyed my internship a lot. I think I asked a lot of questions, probably an annoying amount of questions sometimes, but apparently it worked because I got a job.
Nice. What was one of the biggest learning curves that you encountered?
I think as I get really comfortable here, one of the biggest learning curves, I think specifically to writing, I think one of the biggest learning curves is being able to take feedback and not let it get to you. Someone might say you write something, you put it in the world. It's a very vulnerable process, right? If someone says they don't like it, it's very easy to take that personally. And I don't know if I ever took it super personally, but I think it's always a challenge. Like I would see an email that says like revisions and I would get like nervous. I would like walk to the bathroom and like get another water, come back up, be like, I don't want to open this email from my creative director to see if they hate it. Like I think just like getting comfortable with that, learning that just because maybe you wrote something that somebody doesn't like, that's not like how you should determine your self-value. Quote I read about golf one time. It's like if you have a bad day golfing, that does not determine your self-value or how you should feel about yourself, which is like a very specific example. Like that applies to writing too. I think that was a big learning curve. I think another one too that I saw with a lot of other people, and this kind of goes back to my last answer just a little bit of like it worked because I got a job. Not every internship has to end in a job. I was an intern here and I wasn't going to apply because I said, no, I'm graduating college. I need a job, like a big boy job. And they were like, just give it a try and see if you like it. I think internships are as useful of a tool for learning what you don't want to do as learning what you do want to do. I think a lot of people get an internship here or anywhere else and they'll kind of say, oh, I hated that. And it's like, well, that's good. You worked somewhere for a temporary amount of time and you learned that you don't want to do that and then you can just move on. Like, I think that's great. So the success of every internship does not have to end up in a full-time job. Maybe that's what you want, but it can just be, getting some vibes along the way and catching some fish.
Just catching fish, learning a lot. I feel like I learn something every day. You make sure of it. I think I'm gonna go for, what are we thinking? Goldfish or starfish?
Oh, it's literally a goldfish. Yeah, do that one.
Okay. Oh, here he comes. What do you have to say?
The question that smiles back.
How do you know if your writing is good?
Good question. You never do. I don't think you ever do. We could ask Sean that when he's done filming. How do you know when it's good? I don't know. There's just an innate feeling of it doesn't suck, I think, that you try to get to. Just like self-revision, if it's like, everyone has their own style, so it's impossible to say what I think is good is probably very different than what you maybe think is good too, unless I beat it into your head this summer. Everyone's different though. I think that like a big thing about our job is you're never truly done with anything, you just run out of time. So you just get everything to as good of a place as you can, and if you read it over and if it sounds solid, you're like, okay, that's good. But I don't think there's definitely bad, but I don't have you ever know that there's good.
How do you know if your writing's bad?
I think if I've written something without a specific audience in mind, I think you gotta like envision the character you're speaking from and envision who you're talking to. And if you're not providing them something, whether it's entertainment or valuable information or like a new perspective, if you're not providing any of those things in writing, then it's probably bad. But if you're teaching them something new, or if you're trying to be funny, or if you're doing like all those things at once, then it's probably good.
Yeah, if you have a goal rather than just like cranking it out and getting it done.
I think so, yeah.
Cool. Well, do you wanna, I don't know, you got a couple there.
Stick with the food, I'll go with the fish sticks.
Oh yeah. These were like a Sunday night staple in my house. Just those, a slice of American cheese and honey wheat bread. That was the way to go.
These fish sticks are asking me, how do you write a cover letter that stands out? That's a good question. I don't think I've ever written a cover letter, just kind of like because I was an intern and I never got a different job. But I would just say like anything that shows that you're interested in the career you're trying to go into and that you've like spent some amount of time and made some amount of effort to familiarize yourself with it in some way. Whether that's a job shadow or like a full-on internship before, or like a part-time job or a real job or campus experience. I think like including that on your cover letter is good. And proofread the thing. You would not believe how many cover letters have like errors on them for like people who want to be writers.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Proofread it, put it through Grammarly, pay a friend $5 to look at it, buy them some goldfish, tell them to read the thing. Like, I don't want to say cover letters can't be good because like you can have a good cover letter, but it's just way easier to have a bad one than to have a good one, if that makes sense. And this is like way easier to have a mistake and it's like, okay, this person isn't very thorough. So like just toss that one. I mean, that's like the truth about cover letters, honestly.
They're so daunting.
Fish sticks. It's a lot of work and I don't think they're cool or they're fun, but
No.
got to power through it.
Why do we need them, you know?
I don't know, honestly.
I think there's a blog post about it somewhere on the website, and I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know, just meet me, then you'll know what I'm about, right?
Yeah, sponsored by the LMS website. Read the cover letter blog.
I'm forgetting now. I have one more fish. I suppose I'll go get it.
Yeah, catch that fish.
Come along, fish. This one is a polygon. Oh. Come now. It's being such a tease. Oh, dear.
Pleasure, Etsy.
This one is labeled Jeff Foxworthy because this is my Jeff Foxworthy question.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the, if you mow your lawn and you find a car, you might be a redneck. Are you like familiar with those?
Yeah, I feel like
jokes?
I'm in a canoe with Jeff Foxworthy right now. That was good.
Yeah, thank you. I've been practicing. So the question is, if you, and then you're gonna fill in the blank,
Okay.
you might be a good fit for copywriting internship. So if you blank, then the rest of what I said.
If you really like writing to the point where you can do it for like 8 hours a day, and if that's like your calling, I guess, is this just for the internship in general or like copywriting specifically?
I think it can be broadened.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll make it broad. You're a good fit for the Lawrence and Schiller internship if, I don't know, we could ask Carly this. That's probably for a podcast thing to just say the names of people who are off screen in the room. I think if you want to like get like a real taste of what working at an advertising agency is like, I think this is a good internship. If you want to like do a lot of different things in one summer, whether it's like super serious projects for a client or sitting in a boat in the production center, I think it's a good internship. I don't know. What have you liked about it so far? You're doing it right now.
I get to do so many different things and things that I definitely didn't expect to do. Not only am I sitting in a boat, but I got to play like Foursquare at lunch one time. That was pretty epic. But like for actual client work, I got to like kind of dip my toe in a lot of different things. I mean, scripts, page search, woo, everyone's favorite.
Podcast sponsored by Paid Search.
I did social
Coming to a
posts.
media plan near you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got to try everything. And yeah.
And I think to do like a shameless plug for Lawrence and Schiller as a company, podcast sponsored by Lawrence and Schiller, like you get the chance to do a lot of stuff, but it's not like you're just kind of thrown to it and like you're inevitably going to fail. You know, you have people like teaching you how to do things and they will like work with you along the way to kind of add like these tools to your tool bag of stuff you can do and then like go and talk about in a portfolio. I think like it's the opportunity to try new stuff and the opportunity to be able to like fail, but still have people like pick you up and help you as you learn most things.
Definitely.
And to help you learn every day. I think like a good bit this summer has been keep looking at the camera. I'm not sure if that's the best practice, Sean, of like asking, hey Rose, what'd you learn today? And it was kind of like a joke, but then you do realize that you learn a lot of stuff throughout the summer. Even if you worked here for 6 years, you still learn stuff every day.
You know, my last question on my sheet is, what did you learn about advertising today?
What did I learn about advertising today? I learned kind of what it's like to be on the other end of the camera when we set up for interviews. What did I learn about advertising? Yeah, what it's like to be on the other side.
Yeah.
What did you learn today?
What did I learn about advertising today? I don't know. We set this whole place up in a whole completely different place. And it's just like, you can be creative a lot. I don't know. People know a lot more. I'm trying to word this right. I don't know, just like bringing a fresh perspective into things like you
What
can.
you learn this summer?
You can
Is that the question?
maybe. What did I learn this summer? How to write good.
How to Write Good. Sponsor of the Alumnus Ad Camp podcast.
I think you have one more fish.
Oh.
Not sure.
tattoo fish.
Oh, that one.
I didn't get this guy.
Yeah,
That kind of-
I don't think it's that great of a
He's a
question.
generic fish.
Yeah, he's
Generic fish. Great value fish. What are some things that lead to a bad internship?
and this could just turn into like general advice for any internship.
That's what I would say. So here's the advice I've always given interns in my time here. And I think somebody gave it to me once. A really useful phrase to learn as an intern is, no, I don't know how to do that, but I'll give it a try. I think people will bring you projects that make you kind of like a little bit scared, and it activates your fight or flight because, oh, I've never written paid search before. Super fun. I've never done this for this client, or like my stuff would go on a billboard. Like that's so scary. And this is kind of like copywriting specific, but it applies to broader internships. I think like you can be afraid of failure to the point where you don't get enough out of an internship as you should. So I would say not asking enough questions, not being open to do stuff that scares you. Those are the two things that can probably lead to a bad internship, or just not keeping an open mind and like wanting to try new things. I would also say that like thinking you know more than you do, that's like anybody, right? I come to work every day and I admit there's stuff that I mess up. There's stuff I don't know. There's a ton of stuff I don't know. And there's like people I can ask for advice that like are smarter than me on topics that like you can lean on. When you get an internship, don't act like you know everything, because you don't. Nobody in the entire world does. And just like be open to feedback, be open to constructive criticism, and open to new ways of thinking. I would say that's my
So
bad
yeah,
internship advice.
that's great. Yeah, last question. You probably got a sneak peek. This one's just for fun. If you were a fish, what fish would you be? Or if you'd rather not be super introspective, what fish embodies copywriting? It could be completely arbitrary as well.
I would want to be a marlin, I think, because those things are huge and you just see 50 of those suckers flying through the ocean. Yeah, I think those look awesome. You could be the mascot for the Miami baseball team. Yeah, I'd want to be a marlin. What encapsulates copywriting for a fish?
I don't know. I feel like an octopus. Is that a fish? It's a sea creature.
Is a mollusk a fish?
I don't know.
We'll have our backstage crew of research experts,
They're all giving us a thumbs down.
biologists at work here. Yeah, can we check with the local marine biologists? I think an octopus, yeah, they're like a smart fish.
Yeah, they kind of, they use ink, and they have to like bend and like contort different things. So like, that's kind of like when you're using different voices a little bit.
Yeah, they live to 70 years old. Sometimes it feels like it takes that long to write a website. Mm-hmm. Yeah, octopus. Let's lock it in. We'll let this little guy go.
Thank you. Well, I think that's all the questions I have, unless you have any other sage wisdom advice to share.
I think I've dispensed all the wisdom I have, probably.
All right.
The little amount that can fit in this canoe.
Cool. Well, I don't know how we're going to get back to shore. We have no paddles, but
Oh, no.
I suppose we can figure that out once we're finished here.
Guess we'll have
So.
to eat, one of us.
Who knows? With that, make sure that you apply to AdCamp 2025. Applications are going to open on December 9th. That's a Monday, and close on January 19th, which is a Sunday. But until then, I wish you peace, love, and happy trails.